Baba tells us the importance of yoga, and Baba says that you need not even use the word yoga. It is just a pilgrimage of remembrance. So, how many of you have been on pilgrimages? Yes, some of you have been. Now, what do you do on a pilgrimage? Ideally, on a pilgrimage, you keep walking until you reach your destination. So, in Bharat, usually people go to Amarnath or Vaishno Devi or some other place, and then what they do is keep walking until they reach there. Now, these days they don't even walk. These days you hire, vehicles, and then even they airlift you on a helicopter or something, and you can just have your pilgrimage. But the whole idea of a pilgrimage is initially that you keep walking until you reach your destination. And Baba says here, this pilgrimage of remembrance that Baba teaches us is all about taking steps of Baba's remembrance. So, who performs the pilgrimage of remembrance? The soul, not the body. In the world, the body goes on a pilgrimage. Yes, not necessarily the soul. Because sometimes, you are there in front of the destination of pilgrimage also, but you are remembering someone else, someone you left behind at home. So, not necessarily that your mind and intellect is there. But here the soul performs the pilgrimage of remembrance, and it's all about, so what does the soul have? Does the soul have legs? Yes. What are the legs of the soul? The intellect. So the soul performs the pilgrimage of remembrance through the steps of the intellect. And the first criteria for going on a pilgrimage of remembrance is to detach your intellect from this old world, because you cannot leave home while staying at home. Yes, so if there is a physical pilgrim, he has to leave his home, right? Only then he can go to his yatra. Now, similarly, if you don't detach your intellect from this old world, how can you take it to Baba? It's not possible. So the first thing is what Baba calls Vairagya. Now, Vairagya means your intellect is detached from whatever is in this old world, even this physical body. Now, how can you have Vairagya with something that is a cause of pleasure and joy to you? Can you detach yourself from something that is giving you pleasure and joy? It's very difficult, because you see, the soul needs knowledge, purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power. And if you think that someone, some activity, something is giving you the happiness, the peace, the love, the power that you, the soul, need, then how can you detach from that activity, from that person, that thing? It's very difficult. So, first you have to understand very well that this illusion that I am getting my happiness, my peace, my love, my sense of power from this physical body and physical world, this illusion is to be, first finished. Because if you don't deal with this illusion, you can never detach from this old world. And this illusion is very strong. So, you see, when you eat food, you feel that that food has given you bliss, or you get some attainment, achievement, you feel that's given you a sense of power and happiness. But just think about it. If really in this old world you were getting love, peace, happiness, and power, then how would you become? You would become increasingly happier, more peaceful, more powerful, yes? But are you becoming that? So that means that this is an illusion. And you don't have to fall into these traps. So Maya is just creating an illusion that you're getting love from a person, happiness from a thing, happiness from an achievement, sense of power from an acquisition. So these are just illusions that Maya has trapped us into. But if you look at it, nothing is actually increasing the quotient of spiritual essence in you. And if you were really getting knowledge, purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power, then you would become increasingly senseful and your spiritual power would increase. But that's not happening. So, whenever you are feeling happy, just ask yourself, is it a feeling that's coming from what I got, or is it a feeling that's coming from what I believe I get when I get something? So we are conditioned to think that you are happy when you achieve something, because right since we are children, so what do parents say? Good marks equals to happiness, bad marks doesn't equal to happiness. But is it actually so? No, it's just a conditioning. Now just experiment with these ideas. Try staying equally happy in both situations, and you will feel that that's absolutely possible. Yes, so I'll tell you one thing. There's this one sister, and she told me, I'm lonely, and she said, I live alone and I'm lonely. And then I told her, I don't think you're lonely. You're very independent, and you're living alone, and there's nothing for you to bother or depend on, and it's a good state to be in. So she just looked at me and she said, nobody told me that ever. So I said, okay, now this is the first time. So just go home today and make a list of how many things are better off in this situation. So, since you're living alone, how many things are working positively for you? So she made a list, and that in that list she had 43 points. And then I asked her, then make a list of how much you're losing out on. So she made a list and she came up with some 14-15 points. And then said, see, you are well off like this. So yes, Yes, you want to say something? Hanji. So then I asked her, yes, so then I asked her that if you really feel that you are well off with in this situation, then don't listen to what other people are telling you, and just keep telling yourself that I like this, I've chosen this. And then she said, yes, I've really started feeling good about my situation. So you see that most of the sorrow or the unhappiness or the disappointments that we feel are because of our conditioning. And Baba says that knowledge, purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power are the spiritual assets of the soul. But when you learnt or you were conditioned into losing your sense of happiness, peace, and love, and bliss and power, and attaching it with the happenings and events and the acquisitions and everything in this world, then the problem started. So now Baba says that now detach these two things and know that I am a soul. I am a pure, peaceful, loveful, blissful, powerful soul, and I don't need anything in this world to be who I really am. This is my essence, so I don't need to depend on this world to give me happiness, peace, or joy. Now, second thing is, then why live in this world? So you're here to play your role, and your role has to be played with happiness, not for happiness. Your role has to be played with love, not for love. So we are the loveful, peaceful, joyful beings sent on this stage to play our role lovefully, peacefully, joyfully, not seeking love, joy, and peace. So just go with that idea. And then so Baba says, when you dissociate, this world with your inner self or your inner state of being, then you can be really soul conscious, because you cannot stabilize yourself in soul consciousness until you believe that your state of mind is intertwined with this old world. So first thing is that. Then Baba says, then remember that I am a soul and whatever I need comes from Baba. So then you have attachment with Baba. So detach from this old world and recognize that whatever you need right now, because we have had a journey of 84 births and some of our spiritual power is lost, and then who is the one who gives us that spiritual power back? The Almighty Father. And Baba today says, I am the Almighty and I give you the power that you have lost. And then when you know this, that I am a soul and I get everything from Baba, then remembering Baba becomes very natural, because he is the one you get everything from. And when you remember Baba, then Baba says every second of remembrance is like taking a step of spiritual pilgrimage. So just like you move step by step on a physical pilgrimage, every second of remembrance is like taking a step. And then where do you reach when you perform this spiritual pilgrimage? So you reach that stage of purity, which is called absolute purity, And in that state, you go back home and come to a new world. And Baba says, what does a physical pilgrim get? Nothing. He comes back. Yes, he goes to the yatra, sees the deity, and then comes back and lives his normal life the way he was. But here, if we finish the yatra, then we will go back home and not return to this old world ever. Right? And Baba says, you have to pay a lot of attention to this pilgrimage while performing your role in this world. So, while doing everything, you have to keep accumulating these steps of spiritual remembrance, and through that, keep going closer to your spiritual stage of purity. So, Baba says, keep doing this, and this is an act of courage. And it's very interesting the way Baba uses certain words. So, usually, what do we think is courage? So, we always think that courage means pulling someone down, beating someone up, or doing something physically very challenging in the world. But Baba says the biggest challenge is to be a master of your mind and intellect. And while playing your role in this world, if you are able to keep your attention on Baba and keep accumulating this income of remembrance, that's called an act of courage. And just think about the quality of your action when you are doing everything in remembrance of Baba. So, Baba is the ocean of peace, ocean of love, ocean of power, ocean of knowledge. So, when you do everything in remembrance of Baba, what will be the quality of your actions? They will be knowledgeful, loveful, peaceful, joyful, powerful. And Baba says, can you perform your role better when you are in remembrance of Baba or when you are not in remembrance of Baba? So you will perform your role better when you are in remembrance. But nobody told us that. People said that when you focus on work, focus on work. But no, while you focus on work, keep your focus on Baba also. And let me tell you that science tells us that a human soul is fully capable of focusing on 7 things at one time. You can focus on 7 different things at the same time. Yes, so that's your capacity. It's not like if you focus on the work, you cannot remember Baba. And this is a very scientific study that you can be aware on 7 levels. You can be aware of 7 different things at the same time. And just think about when a person drives a car. Then you see they are driving the car. They have their awareness of the gear, the steering wheel, the clutch. They are also having their awareness on the mirror. And then they are also having their awareness on the music that's being played. And they're also chatting. And they're also simultaneously maybe eating something. So you see that one person is doing all these things at one time. So is it not possible for me to just keep my awareness of Baba while I'm doing work? It's not difficult, but just like, a driver has to train himself to do this. Yes, when you are initially driving, you cannot not focus on the steering wheel and, focus on the song that's being played, but gradually you learn that. Similarly, Baba says with a little practice, You can remember Baba while doing everything. But why is it so important to remember Baba? Because Baba says only remembrance can finish your burden of sins. And you see that in this world, there is a spiritual, deeper reason for everything that's happening, which we can't see. Yes, and you see, just like psychology and science, they make us aware of some domain which is not perceivable to the naked eye. Yes, so science will tell you that there is an electricity running the fan. You can only see the fan, you can't see the electricity, but science will tell you that. Similarly, psychology these days tells you how, what happened in childhood is affecting what's happening in adulthood. So there are mechanisms in the world which make you see a little further than what your eyes can see. But Baba is the spiritual teacher, and Baba makes us see, much bigger than, Baba makes us see much beyond what these eyes can see. And only Baba, who is the truth, so God is called the truth, and Baba, the truth, makes you see the whole truth. And what is the whole truth? The whole truth is that I am a soul, and for the first 21 births, I am more or less, very well behaved, and I am pure, and I don't commit any sin. But for the next 63 births, I come under the influence of vices, and then I accumulate a burden of sin. Now you see, whether you are aware or unaware, whether you acknowledge it or not acknowledge it, each one of us has a burden of 63 births of sins on us, irrespective of what you're doing right now. Yes, and Baba says that the only way to finish that burden of sin is through my remembrance. And what does the burden of sin do? So the burden of sin makes it easier for you to become more sinful, and makes it very difficult for you to become pure. Just know this, that what does the burden of sin do to you? The burden of sin will make it very easy for you to become more sinful, but it will make very difficult for you to become pure. Yes, so have you seen that the burden of sin that we are carrying, what does it do? It makes all our bad habits, very natural, very easy to access. Yes. How difficult is it to feel peaceful, and how easy is it to get angry? Yes, and anger creates sin, and peace creates, good karma. So the burden of sins, if I have been angry for many births, then that sanskar of anger will make it very easy, natural, justified for me to get angry. And it will make it very difficult for me to stay peaceful. And I remember, there was this one Mata, she told me something very nice. She told me that I have this strange habit that whenever I see somebody making a mistake, I have this urge to tell them then and there and tell them in a language which makes them feel hurt. And I know this, that if I was patient for a little time and I told them at the right time and in a more loving and peaceful way, then it would be a better approach. But she said, it took me 10 years of practice to come to that place where I could stop myself from pointing out somebody's mistake instantly and have some patience and look for a right opportunity to point out that mistake to them. And she said, I was very appalled by this, that even a seemingly very little thing like this can take 10 years to change. And she said that every time, in the morning I would think, no, today I will not point out anything instantly. I'll take my time and then I will tell them in a very calm and peaceful way. But then I will suddenly, when I see something, I'll not stop myself and tell them. And then she told me that, why is it so, sister? So I said, this is what we don't understand, that we have a burden of 63 births of sin. And that's not going away very easily. And you see, getting up at 7, 8 is so easy, or 10 is so easy for many people. And why is getting up at 3:30 or 4 difficult? Now, if it is about the number of hours of sleep, you look at people who are getting up at 8, they are not sleeping at 10, they are sleeping at 12, 2, something like that. So, they are also not sleeping for 10 hours. They are sleeping for 6 hours, 7 hours. So, nobody is asking you to not sleep enough. You sleep early, get up early. Where is the big deal in that? Sleeping early and getting up early, you don't even have to compromise on the number of hours of sleep. But that is becoming so difficult. Why? Burden of sins. Yes, so doing anything which is, the right way to do it is becoming increasingly difficult, and doing everything that's wrong becomes very easy. And anything that's further, burdening you with sin, that becomes very easy. So you see, as soon as you have to, study or practice, or you have to do something productive, then your whole body will ache, your head will ache, and then you'll feel feverish and all of that. But as soon as that goes away, then what happens? You are all recharged to further multiply your sins. You don't feel sleepy and drained when you have to watch your phone and watch something on your phone, or waste your time and just do stuff which is not adding to your life and productivity. So Baba says that when you understand this deeper reason, then you know that you have to finish your burden of sins if you want to take steps which make you move forward. And for that, the only way is remembering Baba. The only way is remembering Baba. And Baba says, every day I am cautioning you to remember me more and more. But there are many children who don't pay attention to remembering Baba. Yes, and even if you remember Baba, the nature of remembrance is more like a prayer. Now, what is the difference between a prayer and remembrance? So you see that remembrance means you detach from the body and the physical world and draw light and might from Baba in the sweet relationship that I am a soul and Baba is my world. So this is a meeting of the soul with the Supreme Soul, and feeling the juice of all relationships and the juice of all attainments from Baba. But when you don't do that, and remembrance is just about, you are plugged in into this old world, and you are with your, mentally you are with your children and family and what you need and what you desire, and then you're just remembering Baba either formally, habitually, or just like, a formality, you're remembering Baba, or with desire and greed you're remembering Baba. So that is not remembrance. And this is why, most people say that I remember Baba every day, but when you look at whether the burden of sin is reducing, it's not, because it's not accurate remembrance. Yes, you are not remembering Baba. You are remembering Baba without detaching from the old world. That's not possible. And Baba gives a very good example for this. So you see, when the boat is on the harbor, then the boat is tied, to the harbor with a rope. And Baba says, if you don't take out the rope and you just keep rowing the boat will still be there on the harbor. So similarly, if you don't unplug your intellect from this old body and world and just keep remembering Baba, you're not going anywhere. It's not a pilgrimage, it's not a yatra. And I tell you, there's this one Mata, and she used to tell me that when I go to the soul world, I take all my children and my family with me to the soul world. And we all sit together and remember Baba. So I said, then do you keep checking also whether one child fell down or they're still intact? Or so you see that the Mata is thinking that I'm actually remembering Baba, but what is she doing? She's taken her whole family to the soul world and she's remembering all of those souls, and she has no yoga with Baba. So this is the thing. So Baba says, if you really genuinely detach and understand that I am a soul, Baba is my world, and you have good remembrance of Baba, then your burden of sins will reduce. And then whatever is productive, whatever is taking you spiritually ahead will become very easy to do. And whatever is pulling you down will become very difficult to do. And there is one sister, she's been surrendered to Baba for 25 years. And one day she was sharing a very beautiful experience with me. She said, Didi, when I want to do something against Srimad, I can't. So she said, one day I thought, let me not today, take class. And I will not, today I'll just relax and rest. And on that day, there were so many people who visited the center that I didn't take a class, but I took class all day. So I was talking to each one individually, and then at the end of the day, I thanked Baba that, Baba stopped me from creating sin. And she said, if you really burn your sins, then just like in the world people say that I cannot help doing bad karma, you will not be able to help doing good karma. And the drama and Baba will also push you to do good karma. So Baba says, just finish this burden of sins and pay very good attention to remembering Baba, because it is this burden of sins which is actually changing the whole game, because everybody is making effort. Who in this world is not making effort? But we are making effort to make ourselves more miserable because there is so much burden of sin that our intellects are not working properly, we are not taking proper decisions, our tendencies and habits are pulling us in the wrong direction, and we are doing everything, but mostly we are doing that which we shouldn't do and burdening ourselves further. So Baba says, understand these spiritual, intricacies and pay attention to finish your burden of sins by remembering Baba. Om Shanti.